Salesforce has launched Slack Code, a dedicated surface inside Slack built for teams shipping software with AI agents. Not a coding assistant, not a model, a room. Inside it, according to Salesforce's announcement, Anthropic's Claude Code, Cognition's Devin, GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, and Vercel's Agent can all operate in the same shared channel, alongside the humans who are supposed to be supervising them. That framing matters more than the feature list. Every major player in this market has spent 2 years racing to build the best coding agent. Salesforce is making a different bet, that the agent itself is becoming a commodity, and the valuable position is the layer where agents and people negotiate what actually ships. Mechanically, Slack Code introduces what Salesforce calls code channels. Persistent Slack channels with a specialized interface layered on top. Reportedly, each channel splits into separate views, a discussion thread for conversation, a plans view where an agent's proposed approach can be reviewed before execution, a diffs view showing the actual code changes, and a live preview of the running result. That structure is the entire argument. Today, agentic coding happens in a terminal or an IDE, largely invisible to everyone else. The work is fast and unaccountable. Slack Code's proposition is that the intermediate steps, the plan, the diff, the preview, belong in a place where a team can see them, question them, and leave a record. Consider the problem Salesforce says it's solving. An engineer runs an agent. It writes 300 lines. It touches a service another team owns. It makes an architectural assumption nobody agreed to. By the time that surfaces in code review, if it surfaces at all, the reasoning behind it is gone. The prompt history lives on one laptop. Multiply that by an organization deploying agents at scale, and you get velocity without traceability. Several enterprise engineering leaders have described this over the past year as the real bottleneck in agentic development. Not generation speed, but review capacity and institutional memory. Slack Code is positioned squarely at that gap. The strategic reasoning is worth stating plainly. Salesforce is not going to outbuild Anthropic at coding models. It knows that. Claude Code, Codex, Copilot, Devin, Cursor. The capability tier is crowded, expensive, and turning over every few months. What Salesforce does control is Slack, which it acquired in 2021 for approximately $27.7 billion, a purchase widely criticized at the time as overpriced. Slack is where enterprise decisions already get made and logged, so the play is orchestration, not generation. Be indifferent to which agent wins. Be indispensable to the process of governing them. If the model layer commoditizes, the coordination layer is what retains pricing power, the detail that separates a feature from a platform. Salesforce says it is opening APIs so enterprises can plug in their own custom agents. That is the tell. A closed surface supporting 5 named partners is a product. An open surface where a bank's internal compliance agent or a manufacturer's proprietary code reviewer can register as a first-class participant is infrastructure. It follows the same logic Slack applied to apps and workflows a decade ago. Become the connective tissue and let everyone else supply the capability. If it works, Slack Code becomes a standard interface for supervising machine labor, and the specific agents underneath become interchangeable. That is a much larger prize than a coding tool. This did not appear from nowhere. Through 2025, Slack was steadily rebuilt around agents. Slack AI features, a Slack model context protocol server letting external AI systems read and act on workspace context, and Salesforce's positioning of Slack as what executives repeatedly called the operating system for work. At Dreamforce in October 2025, Salesforce announced expanded partnerships with both Anthropic and OpenAI, alongside its Agentforce 360 platform, deliberately signaling model neutrality rather than exclusivity. Slack Code is the logical endpoint of that sequence. First, give agents access to the workspace, then give them a job, then build the room where their work is reviewed. There is a tension here that deserves naming. In 2025, Slack tightened its API terms, restricting bulk export of message data and limiting how third parties could use workspace content with large language models, a move that frustrated a number of AI startups building on Slack data. Read alongside Slack code, a pattern emerges. Restrict uncontrolled access, then reopen it through a sanctioned, governed interface that Salesforce operates. That may be entirely defensible on security grounds. Enterprise Slack contains extraordinarily sensitive material. It is also, unmistakably, a way to ensure the agent economy inside Slack runs through Salesforce's gate. Both things can be true simultaneously. Salesforce is not alone in this read. At GitHub Universe in October 2025, GitHub announced Agent HQ, a mission control layer for running agents from multiple vendors inside GitHub. Microsoft is pushing similar orchestration through Teams and Copilot. Cursor, Linear, and others are building their own agent supervision views. The strategic question is where the center of gravity settles: the code host, the editor, or the conversation. GitHub's argument is that agents belong where the code lives. Salesforce's counter-argument is that decisions don't happen in a repository. They happen in a channel where product, security, and engineering all have standing. Neither position is obviously correct yet. Judge this by adoption, not announcement. The measurable signals, whether the named partners ship deep integrations or thin ones. Whether enterprises actually build custom agents against the API rather than using the defaults. Whether pricing arrives as a per-seat add-on or as consumption billing on agent activity, because that choice reveals what Salesforce believes it's really selling. And whether developers accept it. Engineers have historically resisted moving work into chat, but the underlying thesis is hard to dismiss. As software increasingly gets written by systems that don't attend meetings, the scarce resource stops being code and becomes the record of who approved it and why.